Hello, beautiful people. I hope you all are doing well. It's been long that we haven't interacted with each other because of certain reasons, and particularly there are two reasons responsible for it. First is I was not feeling physically as well as psychologically a bit stable. And as you know, life is a beautiful thing. Undoubtedly, it's an invaluable thing given by Almighty to we all people. But sometimes life becomes very harsh for you. So in this context, there is a couplet asserted by William Shakespeare. He says, and I quote, as life is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury signifying nothing. So I thought today I should have an interaction with the people who are my best subscribers, who are in touch with me, and the rest of people who are going to be in touch with me in posterity or in nearest future. So I thought today we should talk a bit about William Shakespeare, as I have already mentioned a beautiful couplet made by Shakespeare in context of life. So let me talk about William Shakespeare today in general, and more particularly about the Shakespearean tragedy. As we all know, Shakespeare was a dramatist, and more particularly he has touched every genre in 15th century, but his fame rests on four major tragedies, and the tragedies are likewise Hamlet, Othello, King Lear and Macbeth. Okay, so let me introduce you all with William Shakespeare. Everybody who is in academia, despite to which discipline he or she belongs, he or she knows the name of William Shakespeare. So William Shakespeare was a renowned playwright, poet and an actor. Rarest of the rare people know that he was an actor also, because he contributed immensely for the theatre since Elizabethan era. So popularly he was called as Bard of Avon, or sometimes he was also called as universal genius. Usually he was called as universal genius, and sometimes he was called as the Swan of Avon. William Shakespeare was active during 15th century era, and 15th century era was the reign of, or it was the time period of Queen Elizabeth I, and she belongs to Tudor dynasty, all right, and she was the last monarch of Tudor dynasty. Okay, excuse me. William Shakespeare acted in a play written by Ben Jonson titled as Every Man in His Humour, under the name novel. All right, this is a major fact when one should know that he acted in a play titled Every Man in His Humour, written by Ben Jonson, and Ben Jonson was his close contemporary. And Ben Jonson has asserted a beautiful statement in praise of William Shakespeare. He said that the soul of age, the applause and the wonder of our stage. This is a statement made by Ben Jonson. So William Shakespeare has immensely contributed to Elizabethan era, and contributed to made this particular era referred to as golden era. He contributed immensely for the world. He has written approximately 38 plays, 154 sonnets, 4 major tragedies and several other tragic comedies. Okay, and he was universal genius. I am remembering a statement written in a book. I was reading a book of history of English literature, and there is an instance in context of some play. I am not getting the name of that play right now. That play was being staged on Japan, and after the stage play of that particular work, there was a session conducted by media, and a media person approached to a random audience and asked about the performance of the play. What was the reply of that person? It was the reply from the side of that person, that I was thinking and I was feeling that somebody from my own blood and my own gene is playing on the stage. It means there was a absolute sense of, objective correlative there. The people were relating to the incidences made on the stage. So from this statement you can estimate that how much popular his intellectual genius was. That's why he was called as, the universal genius, because his emotions, his performances, his techniques were very much familiar to every corner of the world. All right. Now I'm going to talk about the tragedy, and tragedy is a generic term, and tragedy is a genre, and genre is the medium of expression of a writer. As far as the origin of tragedy is concerned, it's a form of drama, and the etymology of the word tragedy comes from the Greek descent, Greek origin. It's the combination of two words. First is ergos, right? And ergos means goat, and Adian means to sing. So collectively it is a goat song, But generally or normally tragedy is a genre where we see the fall of the harsh circumstances or incidences on or upon a major character in the play. Aristotle has said that tragedy is an imitation of action, and an imitation of action and a serious incident having a certain magnitude, where fear and emotions are important because they leads one to purgation of the emotions. All right, and there is a particular structure of Shakespearean tragedy. The structure is, the structure which I am going to narrate in a sequential order. The first step is exposition, then rising action, then falling action, then climax, and then denouement. All right, this is a particular structure in sequential order set up by William Shakespeare. And what are the major features of William Shakespearean tragedy? I am going to read it for you. First and foremost is it's a story of one man. All right, we all witness that Shakespearean plays are surrounding only a major character. Rest of characters are also influenced by the experiences made in the play, but on the background they are very much less affected. If we talk about Macbeth was having a thirst for ambition, and ambition becomes his tragic flaw. All right. Second feature is Shakespearean heroes. Shakespearean heroes जो हैं, they come from a preeminence. They are reputed people of a society, like kings, generals, and king generals, and I'm not getting much more. I'm going to read it for you. Kings, generals, and prince. Prince is also a character in Hamlet. Next is suffering and death. Suffering and death is the integral part of William Shakespeare's tragedies, because the suffering of a character leads to his death, and that becomes the integral part of Shakespearean tragedy. And Himarsha is an integral term associated with Shakespearean tragedies, and the origin of Himarsha is from Aristotelian tragedy. Himarsha means when some doom is imposed upon a character, or when a character is overpowered by some trait, like Macbeth was overpowered by the ambition, Hamlet was overpowered by indecisiveness, Othello was empowered by jealousy. So all such factors become the tragic flaws. Next factor is the hero, an outstanding figure. All right, hero is an outstanding figure. Next is the cause of suffering and death, which I have already made you clear in context of Himarsha. And last one is, Shakespearean tragedies are having a particular structure, but Shakespeare was not aligned with, in fact, all three major tragedies. All right, the tragedy of, unities, not tragedies. I'm sorry, I pardon. Unity of action, unity of time, and unity of place. If we take the examples of the various plays written by Shakespeare, the time duration is very long. As far as the action is concerned, there are certain supernatural elements which are very difficult to play on the stage. So he was only in favor of the unity of action, all right, because action is very much possible to play on the stage, all right. But again, he was a bit, confused regarding the unity of action, because it was impossible to put forth the the supernatural elements on the stage, all right. So collectively I can say Shakespeare was not very much fond of the unities. Rather, Ben Jonson, his close contemporary, he was very much fond of the unities. And he, at the same time, Ben Jonson was a classically trained dramatist or the playwright. And later on we can say that in the preface to Shakespeare, Dr. Samuel Johnson has also criticized Shakespeare on the grounds of unities. Okay, so I hope you got something out of it. And guys, it's very important to have a knowledge of the Shakespearean tragedy. In next videos I will come up with tragic flaw, Himarsha, purgation, and Shakespearean comedies. All right, till then, take care, bye bye, and don't forget to subscribe and like the channel. Thank you.